Did you know that gold cards are the hardest type of cards to hit in each set, but are not always the most expensive? This rarity means that when they are sought after, like this Pikachu EX from Surging Sparks, they can demand a hefty price. But when it comes to most of the gold cards from Sword and Shield, they aren't as in much demand. In this video, I'll be going over some of the slept-on gold cards I would recommend picking up, specifically the ones from before Brilliant Stars. These cards are not only gold, but are also shiny Pokemon, so it adds to the collectability. My name is Collections, I'm Sean and I collect things, and this is my channel where I talk about the Pokemon card hobby, give advice, and open packs. If this is the first video you have seen from me, thanks for clicking on the video, and if you are a returning viewer, I really appreciate the support. You guys seem to really enjoy my last video where I talked about the trainer gallery, which if you haven't seen yet, I hope you check out after this video. So if content that helps you collect is what you enjoy, I hope you stick around and give the channel a subscription. Let's get started. Just like all my other videos, I created some slides to hopefully hit home the points that I want to make. So this title is Going for Gold. And so I listed here, before we even get started, some of the big hitters when it comes to gold Pokemon. I did leave out the Arceus V-Star, Giratina V-Star, and that set from Crown Zenith. I can go over those as well, probably in another video, just because I wanted to talk about the gold cards from before Brilliant Stars, because they are treated a little differently going forward. But yeah, gold cards from Sword and Shield, they are a great price compared to some of the newer gold cards, and I think they are pretty slept on, especially if you really like the Pokemon that they're depicting. And so here we have the new chases from Surging Sparks. It's the Pikachu EX. As you can see, a very, very expensive card. Probably one of the most expensive gold cards. I think Giratina V-Star might have surpassed that price now. But yeah, for the longest time, this is like the biggest V-Star gold period, I think, that I've seen. But yeah, the other one is a Snorlax from Chilling Reign, also a very expensive card, but you don't have to collect these. There are a bunch of really good priced gold cards we can take a look at. So yeah. They are, like I mentioned, one of the rarest card in each set. There are some diagrams, let me pull them up here. So you can see from Surging Sparks, the hit rate, this is like the newer sets, but I think it still brings home the point. You can see the hit rate is super low comparing it to any SIR. Getting any hyper rare, as they call them now, is super rare. And even in Astral Radiance, you can see that a gold card is around 1 in 130. And for Silver Tempest, it was like 1 in 809 for a specific Lugia. A gold rare is around 1 in 106. I think the actual rate from the Sword and Shield era is probably like 1 in 120. It's hard to get like a real number because Pokemon never posts that. But from estimates from opening a bunch of packs with TCG player, that's kind of like where you want to land at. And I believe for any specific alternate art, it might be a higher chase, but getting any specific alternate art is a higher chance than getting any specific gold card is a point I want to make here. And so yeah, they're one of the rarest, but not the most expensive. And just like my other videos, we're going to be looking at TCG player market price. It's the best way to price things, easiest way to see how the market's doing. And finally, this is not my investing in these cards. These are just personal cards I have, personal picks, and yeah, for the price they're at, I think you should really take a look and see if you want them, and if you do, pick them. The first one I want to talk about is Houndoom from Battle Styles. So Battle Styles is a pretty interesting set. It's where we saw a big shift in how Pokemon treats their sets as not just collectibles and playing, but I think they really start to hone in on the fact that people love chasing alternate arts. And so that's something we should definitely mention when it comes to Battle Styles. But another thing to note is that Battle Styles was like very heavily printed, because that came after the tail end of Vivid Voltage. So this Houndoom is one of the cards that come from this set. There is another shiny card. It's the Octillery. It's not as expensive, but I didn't mention it just because I think Houndoom's a cooler Pokemon, and I only wanted to do one from each of the sets, essentially. And a lot of them did do like 2 shinies. But yeah, fact 1, it is Houndoom. Houndoom, I think, is a pretty popular Pokemon. I don't think anyone would argue against that. It has a Mega Evolution. Houndoom is a Gen 2 Pokemon that people have a lot of fond memories for. It's a pretty edgy looking Pokemon, all things considered. And yeah, Houndoom is one of my favorites. So I did pick up this card, I think a couple months ago, because it was one of the last few cards I was missing from Battle Styles. Battle Styles is honestly a pretty affordable set when it comes to like the Sword and Shield era. So maybe I can do a video going over stuff like that. But yeah, I think Houndoom for the price it's at, even at $20, not too bad when you look at the Snorlax I mentioned, which is doing $80 from Chilling Reign. So I would say $20 is a pretty good price. If you like the art, the gold cards, I unfortunately don't have it in person right now because part of my collection is at a different location. But this card actually does pop pretty well. I think the gold textures that they've done have always been really good. and the Sword and Shield era is no different. So yeah, if you like Houndoom and you want to collect Houndoom cards, this is definitely one you should keep an eye on. It's an edgy Pokemon, but yeah, people love Houndoom. There's a weird spike here in terms of people buying a bunch of copies, but I think it just means that people are really looking back, right? Like I mentioned before, right now is a good time to look back at previous sets, pick up cards you're missing as people chase the new stuff. So yeah, if you want this card, definitely recommend picking it up. I don't think you can go wrong. I mean, even long term, I think a shiny Pokemon that's gold, it won't go down significantly in price. I mean, it maybe might when the Pokemon market cools off a bit, but yeah, it's a pretty safe bet, I think. The next one I want to talk about is the other shiny Pokemon from Chilling Reign that isn't the Snorlax, and it's the Electrode. Electrode, just like Snorlax, is from Gen 1, and I think they are pretty popular Pokemon. I don't think anyone, again, would argue with that statement just because the older generations do have a lot of nostalgia. One thing I really like about this one is that shiny Electrode looks like a Great Ball, right? Because they flip the coloring from the red and white that they have on regular Electrode and Voltorb, and they go for the white and blue, which are the Great Ball-ish colors. They don't have the details that a Great Ball does, but I think it's just really nice art. The Voltorbs and Electrode line always look pretty, looks like they're scheming, and I think the art in this gold card really does capture that. It doesn't look like too CGI like some of the V cards, and it really, yeah, because they are illustrated by artists. So yeah, I really like this card. I think I do. Yes, I did pick it up. And as you can see, the pricing is pretty good for this. Under $10 for one of the rarest cards in the set. I think it's a pretty good deal. If you look at it compared to like alternate arts, yes, alternate arts are more expensive, but that is also because they do have more of a focus on the Pokemon itself. Sorry, not the Pokemon, but the whole environment that the Pokemon lives in. While the gold card focuses on like this glamour and this like shininess, right? So if that's what you're looking to bling out your collection, go ahead and pick up Electrode. I think it's a pretty nice card from, yeah, a pretty good set. And I think people have come around to Chilling Reign, but when it first came out, the hype was not there for the set as in comparison to like Evolving Skies, right? But yeah, I think people are coming around with Chilling Reign, and this card may or may not go up in price. You know, it's really hard to tell what might happen. But if you like the Pokemon itself, it's never a bad time to pick up a card. You never want to miss out on it. And with the way the market's going right now, it might go up in price too. FOMO's pretty strong right now. But yeah, just like I mentioned with Houndoom, people are collecting newer sets, so great time to look back at some of these older sets, which are Chilling Reign must be three years old now. I think it came out in 2020. No, 4 years? Wow, 3 to 4 years now. So it's a pretty old set. It's out of print. Might be a good time to look at this card. The next one is Obstagoon from Vivid Voltage. I wanted to throw in a pick that wasn't just Gen 1 or Gen 2. So Obstagoon, if you guys don't know, is a newish Pokemon. It came out in Gen 8. It's an evolution from Galarian Linoon, which is pretty cool because when it was revealed, we didn't previously have special 3-stage evolutions for previous 2-stage Pokemon. What I meant by that is like in Alola, we didn't have a new evolution for Exeggutor, right? We just had the branching evolution to Alola and Exeggutor. But with Gen 8, they really introduced more to the whole concept of different regional variants, right? And so Galarian Obstagoon, one of my favorites from this set. I think the coloring on Galarian Obstagoon is super nice. The red and blue really makes him look sick. I don't know how to describe it. It kind of looks like a tube of toothpaste, but I kind of really love it. I don't know. The pastel colors really pop, and Galarian Obstagoon is a pretty beefy Pokemon. I just like this Pokemon a lot, I think. And it is one of my favorites from Gen 8. And like I mentioned, Galarian versions are great. They're great for Pokemon world building. They're great from a whole collector standpoint, just because if you like the original form, it gives you another thing to collect if that's what you're looking for. And honestly, this price for $5, it's a really good price. Vivid Voltage was printed heavily, kind of like I mentioned a little bit before, and so that kind of contributes to the pricing. Also because Vivid Voltage doesn't have too many chase cards, the biggest one being the Pikachu VMAX. Yeah, I mean, for $5, can you really go wrong? It's like the price of a coffee. And I think the art, like I mentioned before, it really pops. Gold cards just really pop in general. I'm pretty sad I don't have one of the older ones to show off in this video, but if you like Galarian Obstagoon, go ahead and pick it up. They didn't give too many shinies they didn't do too many of these gold cards in Sword and Shield just because it was like 2 a set. I'm trying to remember if any set did more, but yeah, I believe it was 2. So slim pickings for the ones you want. But yeah, if you do like the Pokemon, go ahead and pick it up. The next one is from Rebel Clash. It was the second set from Sword and Shield. It was the set that actually got me back into collecting, and it was actually pulling this card from an ETB I got for like $20. So this card kind of led me down the spiral of like collecting again and like getting back into the hobby. So it does have a special place in my heart. Galarian Berserker, just like Galarian Obstagoon, is a new evolution for a Galarian Pokemon that we didn't see before. It evolves from Galarian Meowth, and unlike the Alolan Persian, which is just another version of Persian, Berserker is a completely different Pokemon. And so you can see like how the design is completely different from a Persian's design. It's standing on its 2 legs. It looks like just a version of Meowth that becomes more feral. And honestly, the design is pretty cool. It becomes like a steel type, which is very different. Yeah, and as you can see, it's a very like Viking-inspired design. Golden Pokemon, and what I mean by this is you can see from like the Pokemon itself, the shiny in games is like this really nice gold color. And so I think this gold color just kind of complements with the gold border, the gold foiling, everything there, just to make it a pretty blinged out card, in all honesty. Yeah, I really like this card. Like I mentioned, sentimental value for me. For under $7, if you want to pick it up. At this point, I just want to point out like a bunch of these cool cards that I found over my collecting time period. They're really cheap for what they are, and just like, if you guys want to pick them up, I want to make sure you guys know. And I think this one is pretty good. I know people are kind of mixed on Berserker just because it goes in a very different direction from the rest of the Meowth line. But honestly, it makes it pretty cool to me. So yeah, it is a card I have. If you like it, go ahead and pick it up. Under $8 right now. And I think this is the last one I put on this list. It's Inteleon. I know this might be controversial, but I kind of do like Inteleon in terms of the Galarian starters. It's not my favorite. I think for me, it goes Rillaboom, Inteleon, and then Cinderace, just because that was Rillaboom was the one I used, Inteleon was the one I planned to use, and Cinderace, it's cool, but it's not my cup of tea. This card is from Evolving Cries, but I think that actually kind of helps the pricing, just because people have ripped so much Evolving Cries looking for the Umbreon, the Moonbreon, or any of the EVs, that the rest of the cards from the set are honestly like pretty cheap-ish. If you look at like the Golurk alternate art or the Metachamp alternate art, those are pretty cheap alternate arts, just because people were chasing other stuff from this set, and it's like such a big set. But yeah, this Inteleon is pretty cool. It was like for a while actually pretty playable too, just because of its ability allowing you to put 2 damage counters when you have it evolved essentially. But it has rotated since that point, so you can't use it anymore. It's just like a side note. That was pretty cool. Yeah, so Water Starter from Galar, if you guys don't know already. And it is a spy Pokemon. It's based off of like the spy agencies in like Great Britain. So just like James Bond, that type of thing. So Inteleon's pretty cool. If you take a look at like the Inteleon VMAX, the Gigantamax in the games, it grows like a long tail and becomes like a full-on sniper. So it's a pretty cool design, honestly. I think in terms of like the Dynamax form. But for like, under $8, like I mentioned before, these are like pretty cheap cards, all things considered. When you start looking at like how some of the modern cards are doing, EV illustration rare, for example, I think like for $8, it's a pretty cool card if you want to just throw it into the binder and have something to look at when you're trying to collect other stuff and just going ahead and like filling out your backlog of cards. So like I mentioned at every end of my video, why am I doing this? I just want to point out how gold cards, a lot of them are cheap for how rare they are. They're actually like a good number more that I didn't put in this video. So if you guys want to see those, I'd be happy to show them off as well. There's like a gold Frostlass, a gold Frostmoth, Colossal, Cresselia, and I think a couple others. But yeah, they're pretty cool, and I think the pictures on TCG Player really don't do them justice. If you pick one up, let me know what you guys think. Shiny Pokemon, they are awesome to chase. People love shiny Pokemon. You can see that from like Hidden Fates, Shining Fates, Paldean Fates. They're all Fate sets, but yeah, they are super, super cool. And I think if you like the Pokemon a lot, this is like probably like a peak version of an art you may get, unless you get like an illustration rare or a special illustration rare for that Pokemon. And the last point I want to make is that like singles, like I mentioned before, they're always a way to go. You don't have to chase, you don't have to open packs if you can just pick up the cards you really want. This text is wrong. I'm going to include a list of all of the gold cards that I found. It is kind of hard to filter on TCG Player for the gold cards specifically, but there is a way to do so. So if you guys want to check that out, feel free to look in the description, open up the link and take a look. But yeah, that's it for what I want to talk about in this video. If you guys like this type of content, just leave a like, comment, do all that jazz. It really helps a lot, and it helps me move the channel in a direction that can grow more and can help you guys as well. But yeah, if you guys haven't checked out my last video where I talk about the trainer gallery, it'll be here at the end card. And I do have another video which is just talking about illustration wares that are less than $10. So if you guys want to check that out, please do so. I would love the support. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.